welcome to Cobra Kai Never Dies. We're back from our lull of several weeks.
It's funny because the last episode we did was called Lull.
See, we had to make sure to drive that point home.
Right.
It's something we did deliberately, but now we're back.
The episode is Glory of Love, and listeners, I want you to know that before recording this episode, we sang a really bad karaoke version of Glory of Love.
But it was great because the background visuals were, well, what was it? Birds? Ducks?
Baby ducks, birds, and mushrooms growing.
Yes,
Time-lapse
it was a
mushrooms
deeply
growing.
phallic imagery, the end of the video. So I think we're in a good headspace
We
to
are.
sort of take this on.
We're ready to talk about the glory of love and how sometimes it's great and sometimes it's like a mushroom growing.
Yes, please. I can't wait to
Sometimes
see
it's
you
disturbing.
talk. Yeah. There was like a net that came out of the mushroom head.
Yes, and you're listening to, or you're
Guys,
watching this
maybe-
while the
maybe
chorus
we'll-
comes in.
You know what? We're going to tweet this out. We're going to
Yeah.
tweet that video out.
It was pretty special.
Yeah.
And
So all of you can sing Glory of Love in the comfort of your own homes.
hopefully after listening to this episode.
Yes. Okay. We're back. It's been several weeks. IMDb synopsis. Daniel works to make amends with Amanda. While Johnny is introduced to the world of dating apps, complications arise when Miguel, Samantha, Robbie, and Tori cross paths. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty straightforward.
It divides it neatly into 3 storylines,
Yeah.
which don't actually touch each other too much this week.
Yeah, we always start with Johnny, so I think we should start with Daniel because one, I had completely forgotten the status of his kind of Cold War with Amanda. Like,
So in case you listeners have forgotten, in previous episodes, Amanda's been getting more and more testy at the fact that
he's working 2,000 hours a week at this car dealership
Right.
that they're supposed to run together
and he's been running his dojo and basically
at no profit.
At no profit because
Yeah.
he gives out free lessons.
Actually,
Remember
more
that?
of a loss because it was
Definitely a
recently
loss.
destroyed by Kreese.
And he does not actually help that much with the car dealership anymore. And I am totally on Amanda's side here. I mean, one thing is that it's so common, it's such a common trope in TV and movies that you have like a wife who's like, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? But here it's like, they do run a business together.
Yeah.
That business is their livelihood. And she's now running it single-handedly. Because Daniel's like working out his issues in the dojo. So she's very much in the right here. This episode was incredibly frustrating for me, Daniel-wise.
Yes, because really his entire arc is how do I get sort of the ice to melt with Amanda, and it's not really about addressing the root concerns that Amanda has had for 2 seasons now about where Daniel's headed. It's more like Daniel just, I don't know.
He starts out like the episode he's on sleeping on the couch, his mom is visiting, and like during the episode you see like, okay, he's gonna like get off that couch, he's gonna like win her back.
You just know he's getting terrible advice from his mom because, can I just say, would you, if you were sleeping on the couch and your parents came to visit, would your parents ever kind of note that as like so you're not getting laid tonight? Is that right?
I feel like his mom should just be like, okay, sure.
Yeah, you know, there's a million reasons why you could be sleeping.
He tells her that, you know, he's getting
Why
sick.
would you tell your mom that?
Oh, I'm just getting sick. That's
Yeah,
why I'm sleeping on the
he's
couch.
a
She should have been like, cool, good. Anyways, let's not talk about this.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, she's there
Mama
being like,
LaRusso is not buying it.
nope, she's there. She's there with like her sage advice that she'll, you know, you guys will work it out. And
She's never even going to be like, hey, so the reason you're fighting is because you just not showing up to work or what?
Right. Because, I mean, you don't get love advice from your mom because your mom's going to be like, oh, honey, you're perfect.
So Mama LaRusso's not a tough love kind of mom.
No, not so much. And Daniel, his attempts to make amends with Amanda, like, to me,
They're
are
all
like
sushi related.
Well, yeah, he has like expensive sushi delivered to the office.
Which is bullshit because you know he eats sushi for every meal.
Right.
I
like,
mean,
is it special?
Maybe she's like, hey, can we get food that I want to eat? Maybe she hates sushi.
I mean, yeah, it's not like we know that Daniel likes sushi. I didn't realize Amanda loved it so. And
he's
also,
getting a present for himself.
He's getting a present for himself, and she's like, that's really nice, but if you checked our joint calendar, you'd realize I have a business lunch across town. And it's like, this this is your problem, Daniel. You're not engaged with their business. It's not that she's like longing for surprise sushi
And the thing
lunches.
is, she's not even mysterious about why she's upset.
Yeah,
she's
it's
just like,
pretty obvious.
Maybe you should help out more and like pay attention,
Right? And that like his other attempts are like he has his students come in to wax on and wax off all the cars, which is like cute child labor. And she very correctly notes that like, yeah, great, but like I know this isn't going to be like a permanent army.
Yeah,
of,
she
like,
says you can't put a Band-Aid on an open head wound, and he gets very defensive, and he's like, you call our marriage an open head wound? And I was like, she has to use kind of karate fighting metaphors because that's all you seem to care about.
You can't even like process any others.
She's like, it's like, I'm an orange belt, and we work together to get an orange belt, and then you go off and join another dojo, and you're putting...
And he's like, whoa, seriously.
Yeah, it's all clear to me now.
It's all coming together for me. And then this incredibly frustrating subplot to me ends. Like, this is the end of the episode when he's, like, ready, like, to try winning her back one last time. He's already, like, looked at an old photo album with his mom.
His Miyagi scrapbook.
Miyagi scrapbook, which, to be fair, does have some pictures of his family and wife, too.
Sure.
But mostly it's a Miyagi scrapbook. And he's basically like, oh, yeah, I don't know what the point of that scene was.
He said he's tried everything he can think of to get Amanda back, and I was like, do you have such limited imagination that, like, this is it? You've lived with this person for 20 years
You tried
now?
to get sushi delivered, and
That is...
you had your kids from your class come in to wax cars.
Yeah,
None of these things are
weird...
things that address the actual root problem, which is actually not... And sorry, I'll get to this, but, like, in this scene when they're looking at the photo album, and his mom is just like, oh, well, don't worry, she'll come around. And then... she tells Daniel this story about Daniel's late father, about how once they were all at Coney Island together, and she's just reminiscing about, like, just a moment when he put his head on her shoulder and how she still remembers that.
To reminisce.
They do love to reminisce. And I was honestly, like, thinking, I mean, not that that's not a sweet anecdote, but I'm like, okay, what is the point here? And at the end, she's just like, that's all I wanted to know, that he was in it with me. And I think we're supposed to connect from that, like, Amanda just needs to know that Daniel is in it with him. Right? Is that
like
the
maybe
point?
she feels like the dojo is like a symptom of a larger disconnecting that he's doing with their life together. I don't know. I mean, I guess when the show starts, he's presumably a good husband and involved with their family business and whatever, and then it's only this recent thing with, I guess it's like he comes as close to admitting that it's Miyagi PTSD that has gone unaddressed for 20 years.
Because his grand gesture to Amanda at the end is that while she is trying to do some work at the office late at night, which Daniel isn't helping with, he comes by with champagne and he takes her into a car, which is an exact replication of like when they first opened the dealership and they celebrated with champagne in the back of, or sparkling cider, she's pregnant, in the back of a car. And he's dressed in a tux, which I guess is nice. They're drinking champagne. He says that he's sorry he's been like so obsessed with the dojo, but he misses Miyagi, and it's really making him feel like, he's connected to him again. But now he knows he has to focus on what's important. And then they make out. And that is the resolution.
I fucking hate this because for so many reasons. One, he's wearing the same tux as a kind of a throwback to the fact that he was wearing a tux 20 years ago or whatever when Amanda was pregnant and they were in this together. But I was just thinking, like, it just shows you how, when they're showing, like, the dissolution of a relationship or a marriage and the things that you find endearing about somebody kind of morph, where it's like, even in that initial scene, Amanda's like, yeah, it was a good day for the dealership, and Daniel's like mistily looking off into the sunset, and he's like, well, actually, I was just thinking about whatever, Miyagi or whatever. Always. Like, he's clearly not like, they're just focused on different things. And then, fast forward to present day, and it's the exact same thing where she's like, that cute thing where you're not actually focused on our livelihood isn't adorable anymore. It's actually like stressing me out a lot.
You would think that would be her reaction, but instead she just kind of kisses him back. They make out, and this is actually not brought up again in the show.
I don't know why. Again, I think like to the extent that they push the envelope with Johnny's character and they show interesting dimensions, and he goes through this whole evolution over the season. Daniel is like stuck in time, and there's clearly room to grow for his character. Like, he's not perfect, but I just don't understand what the writers are thinking.
It's
you know, like they're obviously showing, hey, you're kind of like got your head stuck in the sand, and your marriage is kind of disintegrating. It's an open head wound, and then she forgives you in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. And the thing
Unless
is,
they're going to revisit this.
none of this actually like tackled the underlying problem, which is, and you know what? I'll even go so far to say it's clear that Amanda loves him. Like, although she does compare their marriage to a head wound, it's not, you know, it's not in that bad straits. She's being a little chilly to him right now, but like, she's not filing for papers. But her frustration is actually the frustration of a business partner. It'd be like with you and me and this podcast.
Yeah, like, Latha, you know, say I haven't edited the last several dozen episodes.
Right, or like I stopped showing up for the podcast. It's just you making 80s references to yourself.
Or I'm like pretending to be you and doing both parts of this podcast.
Please do that next time. I'd
disturbing,
be okay with that.
You know?
Yeah, and it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, we're supposed to do this thing together, and you're not doing it. And then imagine this podcast was our livelihood. Listeners, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
It does not make any money. It probably costs us money in like the bandanas we have to order.
Do I have the silver hair because of this podcast?
I think so.
Okay.
This podcast is like our child, and this child just decided to get a degree in
child
medieval
is
studies.
Anthony.
Yeah, the child is Anthony. The child is a disappointment. Where are we going with this?
God.
Back to Daniel, who, yeah, I don't understand. I think I liked it when the writers introduced this as a source of conflict because it makes sense. But like, instead of exploring that, and instead of making Daniel make a hard choice, like, maybe he has to back away from the dojo. Maybe he has to shut it down. Or maybe, like...
How do you think this would play out in the real world? I'm just saying.
In the real world, like, seriously, in the real world, he needs to hire someone else to run the dojo. And then he needs to start charging the students because you can't really afford to hire someone else unless you're also bringing in money into the dojo.
If he's really, like, spending all this money on the dojo, I think he'd probably at least get another manager to help Amanda out.
Yeah, or you need to hire somebody else to, like, for the dealership.
Shit, get Kreese to run the dojo, or the dealership. I mean,
that guy would be incredible.
He's, like, processing invoices and shit.
Yes,
and, like,
he would
clearly
sell cars, like, by threatening people all, like, really well. Oh my god, writers.
Maybe Amanda and him would fall in love.
Writers,
and then this
think
would be
about
another
this
thing
season.
That Cobra Kai had taken away from him.
Right?
I mean, God, this
and
shit
yet,
writes itself.
I know. Come on, guys. Like, start a letter campaign.
You think
Bring
there's
Kreese
and Amanda fanfic out there?
We will look into this.
Okay. I will, personally.
But yeah, once again, like, they had something that they could have done with Daniel that would have been interesting, but they really shy away, especially in this season, from, like, going anywhere deep with Daniel. Like, in the first season, like, you can see, like, oh, he's a nice guy and everything, but you also got to see, like, there's some unpleasant aspects to Daniel's personality.
It's the resistance to change that I think I find so irritating with Daniel. It's like, Johnny, maybe his self-esteem wasn't that great to begin with, so maybe he was like, you know, obviously I can be better and do more with my life, and whereas I feel like Daniel is just complacent, and
he's got a pretty good life. I mean, he can be complacent.
Yeah.
So you
but he's clearly not happy, or else he wouldn't.
He's like, you know what? Like, all of this could be interesting. He's missing his father figure. He's throwing himself into the dojo. It's like really like destructive on his marriage. But instead of actually like exploring that or doing anything with that, they're just like, and then he brought champagne to the office, and it was okay. And
okay, I wrote this down. Would you eat free sushi at a dealership?
I mean, it was pretty fancy looking, and everybody knows that LaRusso knows his sushi, so yeah, sure, I'd do it.
That's such a weird move.
Yeah,
like you're going to buy a car, like.
Oh yeah, basically since Amanda won't eat the sushi, they have to give it away to the customers, which, hey, okay. Sounds like a good day.
There's so much I don't know about the car dealership world. So much I'm learning, you know?
Right? I think that's really...
I think it's given us a really skewed perspective on the car dealership world.
Seems like a great place to be where you get a bonsai and
yeah,
a bunch of sushi.
People poach your employees and...
Hey, it's a cutthroat world.
I miss Anoush, man.
Anoush was the linchpin.
Yeah.
We didn't realize it till he was gone.
That's fine. Okay, have we exhausted Daniel?
I think we have exhausted Daniel.
That's, not a lot of kind of...
Daniel has exhausted us.
He has, yeah.
So, Johnny or the kids?
I say Johnny.
All right.
Okay.
Opening sequence.
Opening sequence is this amazing dream sequence set to 80s.
It's
White
set to
Snake.
White Snake.
Yeah, it's set to White Snake. He's basically making out with
Miguel's mom, who has a
Carmen.
name, Carmen. Thank you. But yeah, basically,
she's just Miguel's mom in all of my notes, Carmen.
But he knocks on her door.
I like how authentically he is himself, because he's kind of got this, like, maybe that's why he connects to Miguel so much, because he's kind of an adolescent.
Yes, it's
And
a
so
super
it's like,
adolescent
it's
fantasy.
Like, you know, she's spraying beer all over herself.
Oh my god, no, be specific. She is spraying Coors all over herself.
Yeah.
While she's dressed in a nightgown. They're having this weird karate make-out fight. They're like, they make out like teenagers in that like sloppy neck-twisting way.
Yeah. Are you looking for Miguel? I'm not here for Miguel.
And then, boom, they're making out.
And it's, you know...
It's Coors is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a solid music video dream that an adolescent would have, and then you see him like in bed sleeping, and
also it's
just
like
magical.
his apartment, even after he upgraded, is still very like college dorm like.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's endearing. You don't know exactly why it is endearing, but it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has no pretension about him. I like that. So Miguel's mom Carmen is dating some random Australian guy named
I thought he was
Graham.
British. Is he Australian?
That is I mean, I apologize to our Aussie fans.
We have Aussie fans? When did we get Aussie fans?
Have you not looked at the Podbean? Our fans are legion, goddammit.
Wow, I didn't know there was a guy in Australia listening to this.
I love all of our fans.
Right. Hello, mate. But anyways, Graham, who is maybe Australian, but could be British.
They've slandered this Aussie Brit person. He's got a suit on, and he's not given a lot of dimension, shall we say.
I mean, this character, it's laid on a little thick, but Johnny wakes up and goes outside, and he's making out with Carmen. He's the new guy in her life. And in a very cute scene, like at the dojo sometime later, first of all, he deals with the fact that Kreese is gone, that he's been evicted in the previous episode.
We haven't even talked about the Kreese-shaped hole in our hearts.
Right. He
hasn't been gone long enough for us to feel that, although, I mean, we've had 2 months of lulls.
It's true.
To get over it.
This is the first full episode where there is zero Kreese, except for the picture of Kreese that Johnny takes down from the wall.
And I had to take that photo off my wall. You know.
Did you really?
I mean,
it's still like there in your heart.
Yeah,
though,
I know,
right? Yeah, so the only mention of Kreese is that, like, you know, students are like, where's the Sensei Emeritus? And he's like, nope, he's gone.
Mr. Kreese will no longer be joining us. I made a promise when I became your sensei to always look out for your best interests. Despite how hard this may be for all of us, he didn't have our best interests at heart. John Kreese may have founded Cobra Kai, but he no longer represents what this dojo stands for. His Cobra Kai was old and outdated. He refused to move forward. And what happens when we do that, Mr. Diaz?
You get stuck like cement.
Exactly. To be a great fighter, you gotta learn to adapt. There's creed on the wall. Follow it to the letter. It'll make you strong. It'll make you formidable. It will also make you an asshole. Because that's just black paint on a white wall. But life's not black and white. More often than not, it's gray. And it's in those gray areas where Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai sometimes shows mercy. Doesn't mean you can't be badass, it's still a requirement. But you have to learn to think not just with your gut or your fists. To really use this. Which leads me to today's lesson. Head buddy.
Yeah, I don't know that who besides Hawk misses Kreese in this dojo. Because he was always the more like he was always making them do like punishing exercises, and he didn't show any mercy.
I think that probably Hawk and Stingray, if that's what he's still calling himself,
Right.
is Kreese in some fashion. But yeah, Miguel, like, clearly, like, always knew Kreese is bad news. And there's this very cute scene, actually, where he follows him to the back and it's just like, I know you were really close to Sensei Kreese, so if you want to talk about it. And I'm just like, Miguel is the son that I want. The kind who wants to talk with me about my problems, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. And in fact, he really is, because, like, you know, Johnny's like, nah, forget it, I'll take care of myself, and, like, deflects to, like, hey, how's it going with your new girlfriend? And uses maybe, I had to write down the phrase. He's like, you know, Tori, that's great,
Oh,
so
my
happy
God.
for you, but, you know, make sure you're focused in class. You can play hide the plantain on your own time.
Hide the plantain is the greatest phrase of all time.
Oh my god. So racist. So amazing.
Jesus.
Um,
And he also kind of fishes for information about Carmen's new boyfriend, and he was like, Miguel very sweetly was like, you know, she's had very terrible luck with
So-
guys, aka Terry Silver,
his supposed father, right?
his real father.
This is such a conspiracy theory. We do not entertain this nonsense here.
Tweet at us, please. We know it's true.
Miguel, who does not think Terry Silver is his father because he isn't.
Miguel Silver.
Christ. Miguel is just a nice kid who wants his mom to be happy and apparently wants his sensei to be happy and offers to teach Johnny how to use dating apps, which is
Yeah.
maybe the moment we've all been waiting for all of our lives.
Poor Miguel. He's so innocent. He doesn't realize that these apps are the portal to hell. Johnny...
Do you speak from personal experience here?
No, not at all. I mean, who... If only I had put down that I was into super hot babes. Johnny...
He's also into Iron Eagle and
Muscle
Iron
cars.
Eagle 2.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
And he says, I love this, he says that it used to be simple. The way you would meet women is you body check them hard, but not too hard
Not
at a
too
bar.
hard, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then some beer spills, so you gotta buy one. And it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
those were the good old days.
And then Miguel is very interested in giving him kind of a complete overhaul. So he makes his profile. I just noticed that he had a lot of wrinkled button-down shirts in his closet. Pretty bare bones.
Yep, Miguel's like trying to pick out a good date outfit. And what should we see in the closet but a copy of Internet for Dummies on the shelf on top?
I love
a
it.
very nice callback to the episode earlier this season when Johnny learned how to use the internet with
Do you
that
think that
book.
actually exists?
Yes, I think it exists. That
I
is
think
a
we need
totally
to get
a real
it.
book.
I mean, I want to...
And I want to say, Johnny has come leaps and bounds with technology. In like, he has a smartphone now. He does things with it.
Yeah, but I love that the initial tech phobia is kind of part of his identity, because it comes through pretty strongly on these. We have this great dating montage, and I think one woman has a smartwatch.
The montage is like, some of it's a little predictable, like, oh, he's on a date with a feminist who wants to dismantle the patriarchy, and he says he hates the patriots, things like that. But my favorite part of the montage is a woman with a smartwatch checking her phone, or checking her email on
he
it.
is horrified.
And he's
honestly,
like,
I feel
what?
the same way.
And he's like, I'm sorry, I check my email on my smartphone, with like the glee of someone who's just learned what a smartphone is.
I find it so endearing.
Yeah,
to be
it's pretty good.
honest.
It's pretty good. But you know, none of these dates, none of them are really working
He
out
even
for him.
runs into the woman that from season 1, where he had hung up her TV on the wrong wall.
First episode of season 1,
Yeah.
yeah, and she calls him he calls her a bitch, and he gets fired for it. So
He knows.
okay,
He said she was bitching at him.
yeah, and then he calls her a bitch on her way out.
Right.
So okay, that's he's giving it a go. He's learning about technology, and then like he keeps going to the same bar / restaurant for
What is
all
that
of these
bar?
dates. I imagine that there's like only one in like the slightly nicer strip mall, like
Right,
a few
okay.
strip malls down. And then at one of them, like a woman like kind of body checks him, but not too hard. And then like they get to talking. She is clearly like hitting on him. She likes Coors.
Is this a move, do you think?
Of course it's a move.
Has
I've done
that-
that move so many times.
You have so many moves, I can't keep track.
I have a lot of good moves. And body checking someone is like
One day you'll have to tell our listeners about the infamous palm reading move.
the palm reading move is personal.
Bagged her. Yeah. Okay, it is very personal.
But it's never failed.
It's racy.
It's when you, like, offer to read someone's palm.
And then you read that palm.
That's right.
Am I right?
I can go into more details if anybody would like to email us. But
Please email us about this.
But, yes, aside from that, the body check move, like, Johnny's right, this woman's right. Like, you get the contact. Oh, oops, did I spill some beer here? I will get you another one. Very good. And, you know, she's really, like, his soulmate, right? Like, she's really, like, female Johnny. She likes muscle cars. He likes muscle cars.
Yeah, and initially he's like, hey, maybe this whole dating thing is working out, and we met the old-fashioned way. Mm-hmm. But, alas, reality. He gets distracted when she's in the bathroom by none other than our Aussie friend Graham.
Our possibly British friend Graham. Yes, Graham. And this is one of those scenes that, like, you always get these on TV where, like,
he happens to catch the one part of the conversation that's like, fuck that bitch, Carmen.
Yeah.
I'm only interested in sex, goddammit.
I'm
Graham,
just gonna,
who are
like...
you as a person? You
yeah,
know?
like, first of all, okay...
Maybe Graham spent the first 2 hours talking to his friends about his philosophy collection.
Right?
You know?
Or, like, his battle with testicular cancer or something.
Or the philosophy of testicular cancer.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the bulk of the conversation. It's just one of those things where it's just like, they happen to be at the same bar, and he happens to be talking about how he's gonna, like, dump that pussy, and Johnny happens to overhear, and then Johnny happens to follow him out when he tries to take a piss outside and, like, beat him up for Carmen's honor.
And the other thing is, so it's like, while she's in the bathroom, and before he hears it, he's also busy messaging Allie.
Oh, actually, when he was at the bar, he was writing a message to Allie on Facebook. It's a great message. It's something like, hey, been a long time.
Oh yeah, I just signed up for the Facebook. It's an app on my smartphone.
I mean, he's accurate about it.
He is.
So he's writing her his message. He's hesitating to send it because he thinks it might sound too desperate, and you know that's when the woman who's like a female him body checks him and he accidentally does press send. So sure. It's a bit of a Chekhov's Facebook message that'll probably come back later. But yeah, I mean, he threatens Graham in the back of the restaurant, abandoning the woman who was probably his soulmate in order to be a night
like,
finding
you're not
armor.
even going to ask for my number. Do you find that plausible that like Johnny is like?
I think there's a single-mindedness to Johnny,
yeah.
And like. I kind of found the whole thing like a little lame, like, right? Like, it would have been more interesting, actually, if, like, Graham had been, like, like an interesting...
Outstanding guy.
Yeah, because this is like, okay, well, now you've easily and conveniently, like, gotten him out of the way.
This is when the show gets, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like a sitcom format.
Yeah.
It's half an hour. But when they lean in these obvious sitcom tropes... It just feels like, God, you're better than that. Like,
I feel like it was better in the first season, like, despite having, like, those same short and zippy episodes, like, they could subvert your expectations more instead of meet them exactly. Because, let's be honest, I'm sorry, one Aussie listener, but as soon as you see Graham with his accent and his suit talking to Carmen, you know exactly, like, how this is going to end.
I mean, this is the Karate Kid franchise. Like, Kreese... That pout, you know he's evil.
Right. It's just like this guy might as well have a monocle or something on. And
God.
Yeah, and also
we have to look forward to.
Johnny, like,
Justice for Graham.
Justice for Graham, seriously. And Johnny, like, you can't just like fucking assault someone because they've talked about cheating on somebody. That is a crime.
That's a thought crime. I mean Graham was just innocently peeing near a dumpster.
After, maybe he was just bragging to his mate about, like, wanting to pump and dump her when actually he was, like, in love with her. Anyways, Johnny, I know you showed mercy by not killing
Graham
him.
Apologists, I don't have a dog in this fight.
I'm on Team Graham all the way. Graham, come back.
Really weird, but okay.
But in any case, at the end of the episode... Basically, Graham agrees never to come near Carmen again, essentially ghost her. No, he says,
and Johnny's like, what's ghosting? Which melted my heart, to be honest.
Right. But it's like, also like, well, great, now, like, Carmen is just like, what happened? What did I do? He just, like, never called again, and he didn't show up for our date. But that's when Johnny kind of, like, is able to swoop in a little bit, and,
yeah, what is that line? That's an amazing line.
Is there a line? I think it's almost like...
He's like, any guy would be lucky to... go out with you, and she says, are you asking me out? And he's like, maybe I am, but it's the way he said
and he smirks, and it's good, and that's the end of the episode, and you're like, yeah, okay. So let's get to the...
We have to circle back to something that we don't really want to talk about.
No,
but we have to. It is our sworn duty as podcast hosts to lead you through the journey.
It's
no
true.
matter the dark places it takes
We
you.
do
And
not shy away from the truth.
It takes you to the dark corners of the dojo.
And the truth is that you see Robbie and Samantha making out way too many times in this episode.
Way too many times.
Maybe twice, but it's still way too many times.
It's twice too many.
Because they're a couple, guys.
And I'm telling you, the revulsion that we feel, it's... I mean, I don't even know. I don't know why. Like, by themselves, they're kind of like, ugh. But together, it's like a supernova of revulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah, there so many weird cut-off t-shirts with Robbie. That fucking hair that never goes anywhere. And they're talking about, like, their relationship, like they're Romeo and Juliet, and I was like, nobody cares, guys.
We're gonna have to tell my parents sometime.
I mean,
and they'll probably be
your
okay with
parents'
it.
Marriage is imploding. Robbie, your parents are AWOL, and, you know...
Yeah, there's, like, nothing keeping you apart. You actually do live together.
Yeah, it's actually perfect. Just... Why wouldn't you... Don't teens like secrecy? Wouldn't you want to keep... It's like Bizarro World.
Yeah,
you
like,
know?
why does everybody want to
Where
have, like,
they're like,
dinner with their parents?
Yeah, you know, God, I can't wait for the day your dad invites me for a sushi dinner.
God.
Nobody says that. Nobody wants that.
But, you know, because they are, like, who they are, they're weirdly conflicted about it, and they decide what they would like to do is go out on a date to the roller rink, which, cool. FYI, we learned earlier in the episode that Tori, with a Y, works at the roller rink, and that Miguel will be joining her at the roller rink. So guess what happens?
Yeah, and just a break to sort of check in on Tori and Miguel's relationship, which I felt like, okay, so they've been dating, I can't remember, 2 weeks?
Which in, like, high school years is, like, 7 years,
40
I
million
think.
years.
Yeah.
I feel like now Miguel is more authentically into Tori, whereas...
Before, she seemed a little bit more like a rebound for him, but they seem to dig each other. They seem to like each other.
Yes, but I'm going to come out with my overarching theory about the theme of this episode, which is that... Should I waste it all now, or should we just... Okay.
No, waste it. Okay.
I think, just like Johnny is like, I'm trying to change, I'm trying to adapt, but what he really wants is Carmen. So, like, even though he's confronted with another option, he's gunning for Carmen. And just like that, Sam and Miguel are going through the motions of these temporary distractions, but what they really want is each other.
Really?
So poor Tori is collateral damage. And Robbie is collateral damage. And that poor woman at the bar is collateral damage. Graham, too. They're all just...
Justice for Graham, guys.
Yeah.
Well...
Never forget.
I don't know, because it's like, I do feel like... Obviously, there's, like, a residual thing between...
You want what you want, and you can pretend to yourself and others that you want something else.
I don't know, man. Because, like, okay, so there's some awkwardness between Sam and Miguel. Like, they both end up, like, in line to get their skates fixed together, and, like, they have, like, a little, like, whispered, intense conversation where Sam's like, I can't believe you're dating a girl like that, which is a little bit like... I mean, Miguel rightfully is just like, you don't even know her, and come on. And then Miguel, like, fires back, like, oh, and you made it seem like I was a paranoid asshole for thinking there was something between you and Robbie, and now you're on a date. So, but to me, like...
That's kind of true, though. Right?
To me, it's all kind of like, okay, I mean, Tori has been kind of terrible to Sam, and yeah, I mean, she and Robbie did always have something between them. I think that, you know, they're justified in, like, sniping at each other. They're teenagers. I think that, if I could guess, I would say that, like, Sam probably, like, has, like, feelings for Miguel, whereas Miguel, like, I think I think they both still have feelings for each other, but I'm not sure if it's as, like, one true pairing is all that. It's like, I think that, like, he's genuinely into Tori, and she's genuinely, for some reason, into Robbie, but, like, you know,
if anything,
just
I think, like, yeah, maybe Miguel is kind of, like, moving on slowly and just trying to be a good ex, whereas I feel like Sam is not even trying to hide the fact that she's stuck on Miguel and jealous.
And I think, obviously, Tori, like, picks up on that, because she, like, at some point...
She's not a dumb woman.
Yeah, and as much as I'm usually like, yeah, Tori, okay, I mean, she's kind of a cliche, but whatever, she gives it her all. Like, at one point, like, she kind of trips Sam, and... This is actually, like...
That's an act of aggression. That's not even, like, a subtle...
No, she, like, basically, like, body checks Sam, but not in a sexy way.
A lot of body checking.
But then Sam, like, gets pissed, gets up, and basically just, like, fucking takes her down. Since Tori's, like, a waitress and carrying plates of fries, they all, like, hit the ground. And, you know what? she gets kicked out, and like, Miguel is like, "What the hell, Sam? What's wrong with you?"
You never
that
see,
was maybe the moment that I liked Sam the most, when I felt most for Sam.
Yeah, because also Sam never ever gets punished for anything.
Yeah,
or like,
and she never actually she never gets punished for anything, and she never actually does anything. And I liked that moment where I was just kind of like, yes, Sam. Like, for once, I'm like, you were very justified to like take that bitch down, and you were the one who got thrown out for it, and like had your ex-boyfriend look at you like you were a criminal.
Yeah.
And for once, I'm in your corner.
Yeah, I think they also had to make Tori out to be a little bit more nefarious. I think the writers are feeling like, okay, now Sam is perhaps not a very compelling character, so like the only way you make it compelling is to make Tori kind of an out and out
villain
bad girl. Yeah,
which is, I mean, even their attempts to like make her seem like less of a villain, like, no, don't you see, no mercy is because of her hard home life, that's why she embraces that motto. I feel like they were always kind of making her out to be like, she's a bad girl.
Oh my god, do you think Tori and Robbie would ever get together? They both have kind of shitty home lives.
Yeah, they could have like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde thing, right, or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think you could.
Actually, I feel like Tori would just end up making fun of Robbie.
Well, his hair. Maybe he would cut his hair if they were together.
No,
maybe
he's not cutting that hair
That'd be
for
amazing.
anybody.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, I don't know. Like, Robbie and Sam, they don't. I don't know. I don't know what it is about them.
They have anything.
For some reason, neither of them are very compelling characters.
Yeah. Also, they go to this 80s skating rink, and they're dressed as characters from Pretty in Pink. It's like the oeuvre of John Hughes. And they're both, 16? There's no way they've seen these movies.
You sure? I don't know. It's like cool and retro now.
Robbie has that thing where he's like, someone just call me Dan Johnson. I was like, so you know about 16 Candles, a movie that came out like in the early 80s, but you don't know who Don Johnson is?
Oh, Nina, your rage at people not knowing their 80s references
Come on now.
Pretty predictable.
Which is it, Robbie? Are you an 80s fan or aren't you?
I mean, nobody's really an 80s fan, Nina. Except for you.
Okay.
Everyone else is just kind of like, sure, let's wear an ugly outfit tonight for one theme night.
I did feel defensive when Mama LaRusso was like, did you see my hair? The 80s. And I was like, look, woman, okay, enough.
Some of us had our entire personalities shaped by the year 1986. I am talking about Nina. And just can't bear any aspersions cast upon its styles and hair and movies and music.
You're doing this podcast with me, so get on board. So yeah, I feel kind of bad for Tori because I feel like Miguel and Sam clearly have unfinished business.
They do.
TM.
I wish that they had given Tori, like, again, I don't know, like the writing in this season has kind of bugged me just because it's like, I feel like in the first season you've subverted expectations with characters and things like that. Like, who would have known Hawk would turn out to be Hawk at the beginning of that season? But Tori's introduced as like, I'm Tori with the Y, and I'm a bad girl from the wrong side of the tracks, and maybe I have like a harsh upbringing, but like, I'm still kind of a bitch. And like, they have not deviated from that at all, so it's like, I'd like to feel worse for her. And I would if they made her seem more like a real character.
I don't know if we talked about this, another theory I read is that she's Allie's daughter.
Oh my god. No.
And that, like, from a first marriage that didn't work out.
Where
like,
do you get this stuff?
The internet, the dark web. I mean, God.
That makes no sense.
You're going to be so mad when I'm right about all of these.
Oh my god.
I mean, everything we know about Allie is that she's a player. I mean, she broke hearts right, left, and center. And is it conceivable that she had a bunch of kids and, you know, across the San Bernardino Valley that she abandoned for her new life in Colorado or whatever?
I mean, it's weird because Allie clearly remembers her mother and I think still has her mother. But yeah, no, totally.
Adopted mother. We don't know. Foster mother, maybe.
Listeners, don't write in about this theory. Do not encourage it. Do not encourage this nonsense.
Tori origin story episode. Hawk got one. Why can't we?
Torigin story?
Oh, God. torrid origin story. Terrible. Okay. Rankings.
Okay.
You gonna let me go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay.
And then I'll top whatever you have.
Okay, you can try, I guess. I'm gonna give this 3 out of 5 hide the plantains.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Parentheses on your own time. Because I felt like I don't know, it was mostly for the entire dating app sequence and Johnny's storyline. He showed a lot of growth in this episode, and I think we even got some more Miguel than we've seen probably all season.
Oh God, that's right.
Yeah,
That's sad.
and I'm glad that Johnny finally has a girlfriend. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's the glory of love.
The glory of love.
I'd like to say that it's weird. I enjoyed watching this episode, but just discussing it with you, I'm like, oh man, that was a dumb thing, and why did they do that too? And so I give it 2.5 Carmen's sexually spilling Coors on herself.
Very long rating, but I approve.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we're back, and listeners, not that this matters to you, but I suffered a great loss. My own computer that housed many a Miyagi meme, many of the kind of brilliant thoughts that I come up with on Twitter, all Kreese related. Actually, the Kreese folder has 20 images. And
Listeners, it's gone.
It's gone. The computer died, gave up the ghost. And much like Johnny, I don't trust technology. I find it hard to invest in a machine when it just stabs you in the back. So if you've been missing our Twitter presence, don't worry, lull over. I got a new computer. I'm going to be back at it. We're going to have some fun polls, I think.
I think we'll have some polls.
Yeah.
I think we'll have more memes. I think you should @ us
and really,
or follow us or something us.
Yes. You can follow us at Kai_cast on Twitter or email us with all your burning karate questions and queries at CobraKaiNeverDiesCast@gmail.com.
And as always, stay classy. I mean,
strike first.
strike hard.
No mercy.